Big birds.
All right. Okay, welcome everybody. This is Abnormal Alabama, and over here next to me is Mr. Kevin, the Haunted Dog Kane, and he's also an author. He didn't bring any of his books tonight.
Oh, they're out in the car. I can go.
Okay, and then back behind us here is Miss Catherine Marie, and the camera's a little bit different. It still does the job though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you want to move your dog over some.
Might be for the frame. Let's see.
All right, so we're streamed live simulcast between Abnormal Alabama on YouTube and Abnormal Alabama on Facebook. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we really appreciate if you did the subscribe button. I do put up a lot of videos, and I'll be putting up a lot more of interesting and quirky places. In fact, we're going to Atlanta Saturday to do some filming of a lot of haunted dolls, and also, weather permitting, because we're talking about rain. We hope that we get to walk around where they film part of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And then, of course, Abnormal Alabama on Facebook. Join us over there, too. Kevin, he's got his YouTube channel, and it's My Haunted Dolls, Kevin Kane on YouTube. And he's also got a website, myhauntedDolls.com.
Uh-huh.
He's written 11 books. And he's now got one of them already released on audiobook, and that's Crimson, the
blood
painting. And then here we go.
So you can show
this is not my first book, but it's the first book on this kind of subject material, and it's now on Amazon. This was my New Year's Eve present from Amazon. That's when they published it. But Dating the Dead. Interesting book. Go to datingthedead.com. I put the information there on it. There's a link to where you can buy the book, and I also have some handy dandy books with me that if I see you and you want a book, I'll autograph it and we can take a selfie. Ooh. So we're going to start out. We've got a very special guest on the line that we've had on before that's going to really freak you guys out with her story. But let's get Kevin and this haunted doll going for tonight.
Yes, this adorable little grinning girl is Shannon. I actually rescued her here locally from a flea market. There was a lady that had a whole booth of dolls in this indoor flea market area, not far down 280 down there past Wilsonville. And she had a bunch of these, but there were three. I got two others at home that really stood out to me, and this is one of them. And she's one of a kind. I've tried to look her, the doll anyway, is one of a kind. I've tried to look her up. The doll's manufacturer name was Cassie, and it's a porcelain doll sculpted by Mavis Snyder for the Hamilton collection. And I've tried to search this exact doll on eBay and everything to see. We can't find it. People have been begging me ever since I posted the picture. Where can I find one? She's so beautiful. And she looks like, I mean, probably not here because you see it's a doll, but if you see a close-up picture of her, all of her pictures, she looks like a real little girl. It's very eerie, very detailed face. Well, up close, she looks like she just start talking to you. One person actually commented, I took a picture up close of me and her, our faces kind of together. And somebody said, that must be your daughter. I said, no, that's a doll. So she's peeking into the frame there. But the spirit I got from this is Shannon, a little 10-year-old girl. She's very loving, very sweet. I believe she's one of the ones I've heard giggling. Sometimes I hear little giggles in the room where these dolls are, and I think she likes to giggle and kind of play around. I know I was going to say in the booth I rescued her. I say rescued because these dolls weren't in the best of shape. I had to clean them a bit when I got them home. But they were itching to get out of there because it was kind of a filthy place. And the lady that ran the booth was doing the best she could with what she was given to work with. But she said she had a few things moving around in that booth, and she didn't know if it was the dolls. And three of them I picked up on with spirits, or at least stood out to me that something was there. So I took them. And Shannon was one of them. I think she said some items where she would, have things set up in the booth, and she'd go away, come back, and an item that was here would move and been moved over here. And the other people around there swore they hadn't been in her booth, hadn't messed with her stuff. So she said, I think these dolls are creepy, she said. I said, that's right up my alley. So brought Shannon home. Like I said, the most with her, she's one of the ones I have not gotten around to testing as far as spirit box. But now that I've pulled her out, I think I already got some ideas for the next new videos for YouTube, and I think she's going to be definitely the next spirit box session. I'm going to do a lights out session with night vision one of these
Wow.
nights very soon, and put that on there.
More the reason, folks, to go to
And,
YouTube and subscribe to My Haunted Dog.
Yeah, and I'm just going to walk around my house and be filming and see what I get. No lights, just my camera.
And there's no question we now know why you live alone.
Everybody's scared of me. My sister won't be there at nighttime. She'll come the daytime. She's been in the bathroom and heard a little knock on the door while she's sitting in there trying to do her business. She'd open the door and look out. None of us are in there. We're off in another room, and we're like, we didn't come in there.
Well, the fascinating thing about all your dolls is none of them are evil. They're all very, they're almost like little fun poltergeist type beings.
The few I've had that did have something negative, I did a blessing and binding on those, so they haven't bothered me since they came in the house. I always make sure right away to do something. I don't want them running loose in my house. A mock.
Okay, I'm going to cut you short because we have this very special lady from Durham, North Carolina, we talked to her. How long ago, Ashley, was it that we talked to you?
It's been a while ago.
Yeah, and she was going through a lot of pain. Really, you were getting some physical attacks, weren't you?
Yes.
And then they decided, we on our broadcast actually decided to do a little, what I call a minor exorcism of sorts. We did the Lord's Prayer, I think, didn't we? And you said that actually ramped things up, and y'all left.
Yeah, it got worse after that. I noticed after, like, I didn't even want to come back after we moved because it was like, I just got when we first moved in, I didn't have like an eerie feeling about being there, but it started getting way worse after. I'd say about in June or mid-July, one of my family members let me know that the house that we were living in actually burned down, and they said that there was a dog. One of my dogs was actually locked in the closet. There was nobody home when it happened. And
you said the fireman discovered the dog.
Yes. Nobody knew how the fire started. There was nobody in the house. It's still being investigated. And like pretty much the fire department's dumbfounded because they don't know what caused it. There's like no accelerant. There's no wires that looked bad. I mean, they don't know what happened.
And I want everybody to know that we talked at length before, and we're talking to you now. You sound like a very level-headed person. You don't sound like a drug addict or that you know what I'm saying? It certainly doesn't sound like you're imagining things. That's my point.
Yeah.
Some people you talk to, you're a little bit skeptical of because they kind of don't act right. But you sound to me 100%. In fact, you sound better than Kevin does.
Well, I mean, I've had experiences when I was younger, growing up. When I was younger, I had paranormal experiences. So it's not anything new to me. Like I know pretty much what the signs are and what it is. And like this, just like whole thing about the house, everything, like threw me for a loop because I've never been around something that intense.
So you said this was a house that had kind of been in your family for a while. You gave a little history of it, and retell the story because it said there was something about I think your husband or something and physical attacks and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, the house is like 20 years old in the family now because it was bought a while. It was bought like maybe 20 years ago. It's been in there for a while. My husband lived there, his family's lived there, and it's pretty much been passed down from his family to him. He's woken up at night with night sweats. There's been scratches. He says that sometimes when he sleeps in the bed, it's like something sitting on him. They won't allow him to get up and move. There was one incident, I don't think I told you guys about it, but there was one incident where my husband, if you meet him, he wears glasses. Everybody knows this. There was one incident where he could read, his voice changed, his whole demeanor changed. And I think that like he was possessed, maybe. I don't know how to say it, but I think that he was possessed. Because I asked him who his kids were, what his wife's name was, and he gave a whole bunch of names. Well, I researched it, and the people that originally owned the house, it was the man's name, his wife, and his children's name, my husband's name. So, yeah, this house I don't know much of the back history of it before us, but I do know that the children passed away in the home. I'm not sure about the wife and the husband, but I do know the children died there. But like me personally, like dealing with, I've had paranormal experience before. Me living there, like I'm glad I left when I did, because I think it would have been more danger to my husband. Like I think that somebody would end up getting hurt if we hadn't moved.
So that's some of the history you've got is long before even his family had it. Is what you're
correct?
Saying. Yeah. Wow. And so when we talked and whatnot, things ramped up. You guys decided, I remember you said, I've got to get out of here. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I think your husband kind of lagged behind just a few minutes before he left too.
Yeah.
And how long were you gone before the house burned?
I think a month maybe.
Okay. Yeah. And I know you contacted us just right after that, I believe.
Yeah. They're actually one of a family friend of ours. He's a priest. He works in a Catholic church, and he came in and he was going to do a blessing for the house, and he was going to pretty much, see what he could do to help us. And he tried to bless the house. He put crosses up, and he told me, the best thing you could have did for your family and yourself is to move.
Yeah. Being
in that house would have caused you, probably it would have killed one of you, maybe, and you would have had worse health conditions than you already do have.
So now that you're away from the house, has all the activity stopped for you?
For me, yes. And for my husband, yes.
Okay. So did the house burn completely down?
Yes, it did.
So it's just a piece of land now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you think, well, it's hard to say. And my experience, and I've been involved in exorcisms, house blessings, all the above throughout my career. And there have been times, and I know some people, Christians, will look at me cross-eyed, because sometimes if you, like the St. Michael's prayer, or you do that and you hang crosses, sometimes you make it worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And that's what he said. He said it could make it worse.
Yeah.
He said that
Not everybody likes to
told
hear
me
that.
and my husband that there was more than one spirit there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make it worse. And I know some people don't like to hear that because they think that's the cure-all for everything, but it's like, not necessarily.
Yeah, it can make it worse.
It's according to what entity you're dealing with, what level it is.
He didn't say what level, but he did tell me that if someone was to move back to build there again and to build a new house there, that he's not for sure, but they may have the same paranormal experiences as I did, because I don't know, he doesn't know what type of stuff happened in the house.
Right.
He said he could tell by just the energy that it wasn't a good house, and it's like it was very ominous. Like he said,
right.
He said he wouldn't have his family there.
So the next question then is, have you been on the property since the house burned?
I have, yes.
And you're kind of a sensitive yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
Do you, even with the house itself gone, just being on the property, did you sense anything?
Yes, I did.
Because you know the history, or some of the history of the house itself, but how much of the history of the property itself do you know?
I don't know much about the property. I do know that before the house was built, there was another house there. I'm not sure like any of the history about it, but I do know that I did research on several things, and the property before that was built there there was a fire there, and there was people killed inside the house fire that was there before the house is now.
So it sounds
So
like.
I'm not. Yeah, I think it might be the spirits from that house and from the house where we moved in, that they've come all together in one. That's what I'm thinking.
Wow. Kevin, you got any thoughts?
I'm just wondering what's the history is of that property. Like long ago, what happened there that might, maybe something had caused this entity to be there. Like if something evil happened there.
I think it was. I think that the house fire was done purposely, the one before we moved in the home.
Yeah.
I think the house that was there to begin with, I think it was purposely done. And the feeling that I get from it, I think that it was somebody killed somebody. And that's why the fire happened.
Do you have any indication the house that was there before you guys' house, how long it had been there?
Like 20 or 30 years maybe.
Okay, so when you say 20, it's like, okay, do we have a 20-year cycle going of burning houses on the property?
That's what I'm starting to question a little bit.
So let's go back another 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, maybe.
But I do know that my husband told me that his father he bought the property that the house that's on now. He bought the property, and the house was like not in good condition when he bought it. And they went in, they were restoring the house or whatever. This sounds kind of crazy, I know. But he was painting one of the walls in the living room, and he said that he was painting with kilts, and there was stains coming through the wall. Every time he would paint, stains would come through the wall.
Even with the kills on it?
He said it looked like a blood stain.
Even
so
with the kills?
But yeah, he said that he was painting the wall, and then blood stains kept coming through the paint every time he painted it.
And that's even after using kills on it?
Yes.
Huh. I don't know. I mean, the couple of interesting things. Of course, you say that a couple of people at least died in there previously. But then, I'm sorry, you got my attention when you said the other house had been there maybe 20 years. And it's like, well, I'd be interested to go back another 20 and see what was going on in that land.
I mean, I could see what I could find out and let you guys know, like, if I could find anything about it before then and see what they say.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know, but it's a question, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a curious thing, because it may not be a wise thing to ever build on there again.
Yeah, probably.
Did we lose you? I think we lost her.
Oh no, yeah.
That's strange.
I would love to see what else has happened on that property, like way long ago, 100 years ago, or, pre-Civil War, post-Civil War.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Your message for
Hello?
Ashley.
That's her voice.
Okay. That's wild.
Oh my gosh, somebody cut her off.
I think we're on to something, and it didn't want us to get on to that. Well, we lost a connection. We're going to try her again. She might have been trying to call us at the same time, too.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll just hit redial and redial. So we get up here. Interesting story.
Yeah, it is.
Another book for you.
Yeah.
Leave your message for
This is crazy.
She might be.
Ashley.
She could be in a bad spot.
Okay, Ashley, this is Kelsey and Kevin here, and I've tried to call back a couple of times, so that's very strange, but if we reconnect, great. If not, we're going to carry on here. Okay, wow. When she said 20 years, I said, how long the last house, it burned down, and it's like, okay, you had it for 20 years, your house burned, and who knows?
Yeah.
But if you investigate something, that's the kind of things that I would look at.
Yeah, we like to look at the history too.
And that would be a heck of a pattern. I know one thing. So if you built a house on it, I'd get out of it before 20 years.
Yeah.
For sure. But that was, there again, that dog got, being found locked in a closet.
Oh, that's creepy.
A dog's not going to lock himself in a closet. I don't
No,
think.
it's not. This is a very smart dog.
And if you remember
That can
when,
use its paws to,
yeah, earlier last year when we had the original interview with her, and did, they were scared that night. You remember?
yeah, she went through a transformation too.
Oh yeah, she was. You could tell she was panicked.
She started to act like she was possessed by
Yeah.
something. Her husband was
She's
worried
having
then.
like almost a totally different person now.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you say?
yeah.
Like what I said, the first thing that grasped me is like, man, you sound happy. She wasn't
I've
happy
seen
back then at
A lot
all.
of cases where people were in a place like there was something, it doesn't always have to be demonic, but something negative happened there that left an imprint, and they would have paranormal activity, and it almost seems like well, sometimes the man, but a lot of times just the woman gets affected and
Yeah.
starts becoming different, and the husband notices it, and it's just bizarre how it does that way. A lot of times they'll start acting out there or acting angry and
Yeah.
bitter. And what was that case I can't think of where they were in a house and that happened to the wife? They had poltergeist activity. They made a TV movie about it. There was poltergeist activity.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I think, was somewhere in the Midwest. And it affected the wife. She started acting like she was possessed. And they got her out of there and moved. But what was so terrifying is whatever it was followed them to the new house. So it wasn't long till it picked up again. And they had to just they got a blessing done. And I think it eventually calmed down.
Well, she said now that they're off that property that they've had no more issues.
Yeah,
so,
that's good. That,
But sometimes,
it's been a while.
as you know, you can have an attachment.
Yeah.
Now, have you heard what we just talked about with her? And the priest backed me up on that too. Was that sometimes by bringing crosses in and whatnot, you agitate a situation?
Yeah.
Because people are under the false belief that simply saying the St. Michael's prayer and having holy water, that you're going to cure all this stuff.
Sometimes it takes work and the right kind of person to come in and
something that I couldn't do that you could or whatever. Yeah. It just, and then there's sometimes, and I think a lot of times too, it's based on a person's faith. Because I know sometimes a person will use sage and get a better result.
And that's happened with our team.
Well, Native Americans sometimes use cedar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cedar may work better than sage sometimes,
Sweetgrass.
depending on what kind of entity it is. And
We lost a connection and tried to call her back, Her phones hadn't heard anything from her. She didn't hang up on us.
Were they traveling or?
No, they were no.
Okay, they might have died.
Totally call her. Well, I tell you, I'm thinking that whatever's haunting them don't like us, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
The last time the house burned down.
Yeah, it went. It kind of acted ugly when we were on the phone.
Yeah, she was a whole different person tonight. When we interviewed her that time, she was scared to death and panicked.
Yeah.
She didn't sound like the same person at all, did she?
Something fell off her dresser when we were on the phone with her. Something moved and she panicked and fled the room.
Yeah, she said, "I'm leaving. I'm not coming back."
And then she became kind of possessed when her husband got in touch with her and said she's acting different. He got her out of there.
I think it's you, Kevin.
It's you.
it's
You ain't
maybe
negative.
So anyway, we lost her. We tried to call her back. I can try it one more time, then I'm not going to mess with it in case her phone went dead. Or I just want to make sure she's okay, because that was from the last time. It's like they got some.
Leave your message
Yeah, it goes. That's it. That's crazy. And she hadn't messaged me on Facebook or anything else. Oh well, that was Ashley from Durham, North Carolina, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, we've had that. That's a strange case through and through. The first time we talked to her, it was a freak out. I mean, it was a total. It was scary for us, and we wasn't anywhere near them. And then their house burned down. And then we got the story about the dog being found locked in the closet of a burned down house.
Yeah.
And now we started this conversation. She started just very
Yeah.
laid back, happy, calm,
Relaxed.
and we're talking this stuff. And all. It's
And that's Bud. She's setting off
Yeah.
alarms there.
so anyway. I don't know what to say about all that. Do you have any comments to make about what we just experienced again? Do you want to go to Durham?
It's unusual.
Do you want to go to Durham
Durham.
and meet her?
Oh, is that where North Carolina?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to meet her.
I don't know. Oh, way up there.
Even if it was next door, I don't know. I might move myself. That's I'm sure you've experienced a lot of things besides just haunted dolls in your career, and we've talked about some of those things. And I've experienced, even though I'm a bit more of a skeptic than you are.
I'm a skeptic too, but I've had.
Well, I've got things I can't explain.
I've had a UFO sighting. I've had a little bit of a Bigfoot encounter.
Have you told me about tell us about your UFO? I told mine.
Yeah, I was a kid. Me and my sister both witnessed it. We were outside our grandmother's house, and it was the summertime. We were there might have been 4th of July, something like that, and we were over there in her backyard playing. It was after dark. We'd had dinner. The adults are inside talking and conversing, and so we're going outside where we're not getting bored, and we're playing. I don't know if we were playing yard darts. Those old yard dart games.
Yeah.
My
Real
grandparents had those big old darts.
The real ones that they had back then.
Metal, yeah, this wood.
Oh yeah, the
plastic. These were metal.
Oh yeah, they would go through your foot.
Oh yeah, we had to be careful with that. They had a croquet set. One of those we were playing around with, and we heard some kind of it didn't sound like a helicopter or plane. It was like a low rumble overhead, and we didn't pay attention first. We got closer and closer and looked up, and we saw a light. And I'm thinking, like any other person, I'm thinking it was just a plane going over. Is my first inkling until it started getting right overhead. And
So what did it
looked
look
at the same time I looked. It looked like a box. It was a perfect rectangle shaped craft, and we're looking at
it. And it was total 3D.
Oh yes, 3D. It wasn't even really a cube; it was rectangle, and it's just slowly going over and it's making this kind of a noise. And we're looking. This is early 1980s, mid 1980s. We didn't have the stuff we have now. You can fly around, so it wasn't anybody playing. We don't know the thing. As far as it had to be huge. It had to be like a football field length.
And this was north.
And this was in West Jefferson.
Northwest.
And, and we're just watching this thing. And me being the goofball kid I start hollering, "Hello, welcome to planet Earth, come down." And my sister was going, "What is that? What is it?" And we just kept watching it. We were transfixed until it went way over to the tree line. The back of it was flat. It was just perfect rectangle. This thing.
This is clearly before had cell phone cameras and whatnot.
Yeah, we didn't have any kind of camera we could use to even take a picture. Probably wouldn't have showed up well, but yeah, we didn't have a camcorder.
What color was it?
It was just a black,
Box.
kind of a dark grayish black box with lights on each corner and a few going up the middle, and you could see it. The
And
night
it moved
was
slow
clear.
and totally quiet.
Yeah, well, except for
Was it translucent? Could you see through it?
No, it was solid.
Solid. Now see, that is, even though the shape of mine was different, that was the same movement. You remember the story I told?
Yeah,
It was not fast. It was
Men in Black.
It was real slow, except due to the Men in Black being there and whatnot. I don't remember detecting any noises because they threw me literally face down on the deck. Somebody put their knee, and then I felt an injection right there. Woke up
like
hours
Invaders
later.
from Mars going to the back of the neck.
Yeah.
You ever see that Invaders from Mars movie where they would drag them aboard the ship? They'd be out cold, and the needle would come down and go on the back of their neck, and they would that way they could possess the human and make them do their bidding.
I'm still doing their bidding.
Oh. They'd be walking around with little band-aids on the back of their neck.
But you would never know it.
And what was funny, now I go back laughing, like they were so obvious. At least don't be obvious. David Gardner, come see me. Okay. Act like a human, and then you'll pass off a little better, you dang alien. David Gardner.
Drive us to Atlanta.
They wouldn't smile. They'd be frowned up. And at least make them look like
Well,
they're
we
not
did.
possessed.
We changed. You noticed anything? See, we're doing it pretty good
Oh,
now.
you've advanced with time now.
Guess what Sunday is?
Sunday, the day after Saturday, the day before Monday.
Sunday is Kevin's birthday.
I thought she's.
Oh, yeah. We've been through that.
Where's
He's had a
my-
party.
Where's
Okay.
my T-shirt? No, I'm just kidding.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Kevin. Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday to you. There you go. That's your turn to ring the bell.
My turn.
Yeah.
I'm not growing old. I don't. Now it's
What did
not
you do
ringing
to it?
for
What
me.
did you do to it?
What happened?
He tore it out.
You took something out of it. What's going on?
Oh, I'm moving.
Is that it?
That's not it.
What happened? I don't even see
That's
anything
just
in
my
there.
ring on top of it.
She's got her ring on it.
What
What did you
happened?
do to it? I just
picked
handed it
up.
to you. That's wild.
Now let's see if you can.
Well, I mean, you ruined it. It's broke.
How's it broken?
I
All
don't
I do is
know.
pick it up and shake it like. you
Did that
did.
ring have anything to do with it,
Let me
Catherine?
have my ring.
Huh?
That's weird.
Oh, well. Gotta watch this guy. He's
Oh,
haunted.
coughing germs. Oh no.
That's just sinus stuff, man. Sinus trouble. You hadn't had sinus troubles this winter?
Yeah, but I usually just stuff you. Well, I do cough
Oh,
some,
boy.
but
Well, it
I
just,
cover my mouth.
I don't because I like to spread my shit everywhere. Because guess what?
He's never blunt.
Mine is holy shit. It must be because every time I walked in, people say, holy shit.
Well, if I get sick, I get to be off work.
You got it.
There it is.
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing. Let me see.
Ah!
Oh, jeez. Now it works.
Okay. Don't
Now,
do
what
that
was I
again.
singing? I'm not growing old. I don't have gray hair. I don't smell like a skunk.
You
but
got
you
gray
do.
hair. Don't even try.
I do have a little bit up in there.
Yeah.
But you know
If I
what?
get a haircut, it'll go away.
Men look sexier with gray hair. Us women,
Yeah.
We get the salt and
So
pepper
you
look.
know what we're gonna do Saturday? We're gonna make a special birthday video with Kevin, and he's gonna do the Rod
Oh.
Stewart thing.
The Rod Stewart thing.
If you think I'm sexy,
If you
No,
want
no,
my
no,
body,
no, no, no,
if you
no,
want
no.
my body and you think I'm
if you want my body
No, no,
and
no,
you
no,
think
no,
I'm
no, no.
sexy, come on, honey, let me know.
I'm not saying
Can you-
forever young. There we go. I was like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, so Ashley's phone went dead. That's what she said.
Oh, she
And
did
so I
say.
asked her if she was okay, and she got back, said her phone went dead. Very interesting story. Pardon? You
I was. What else did I mention with that? You. Oh, the Bigfoot thing. Did you want to hear about that too?
had sex with Bigfoot?
No, I did not.
Oh, sorry.
Don't put
That
me
was
in your.
That was in my book.
Don't put me in your sequel, dating Bigfoot.
This book is not for children.
I imagine not.
There's a guy that's
That's
making
some-
love to his car.
like he really makes love to his
And-
car.
Look at that other scary picture in the back there.
Oh, that's the thing. This is the Indonesia where you probably dead bodies.
Yeah,
live there,
I
you
was
know.
in that picture.
And then let's see. He don't read. He just likes the pictures. So
Hey, I do read.
Did you see that
I
one there?
read book after book. Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Interesting stuff. And the thing is, I just compiled this. There's the guy that lost his virginity.
Yeah,
Aliens.
you showed me the picture. And you
Yeah.
put it up on here when you talked
There's a
about
lady that has sex with elves.
it. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Let's see. Now I'm trying to find the good picture.
Chess, it was
here.
Elvis, you said?
Elves.
Elves, okay.
You know, I bet there's a million women
Oh,
that
here you
have
go.
sex with Elvis.
Wait a minute. Don't pass out now. Just take a breath.
No.
Take a breath. Are you ready for this? I want everybody to look at Kevin's face when he sees this picture here.
Oh, Lord.
Focus right here. You ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, the bump. That's a lucky Bigfoot.
I'll tell you what. But the lady that had sex with Bigfoot talked about, just big cojones.
Uh.
Yeah. Now he wants to buy the book. He just needs that one picture.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
All right.
Um,
So let's hear about your dating Bigfoot story.
my and it freaked my sister out because right before that she'd been watching some of those Bigfoot shows on Discovery.
Now we never met your
And,
sister.
No, you
I
hadn't.
have
No.
met her.
Oh, you
Oh,
have?
you did at the doctor office.
Okay.
And we were at Tanny Hill. They've got ghost stories at Tanny Hill.
I've done a lot of weddings in that old chapel up there.
Oh, yeah, I've been in there a few times. And I hadn't heard any Bigfoot stories, but I wouldn't doubt there'd be one roaming around. But we were walking down that path that goes to the old slave cemetery from one of the old houses that you can spend the night in. Near the blast furnace, there's a path way down. And you can see, I don't know if it's where the slave quarters used to be. There's foundations, I think, and maybe a cemetery. I can't remember now, but we were headed that way. And then we got halfway or most of the way there, and then something happened that I had to try to go back. She asked me to go back for something. And she stayed there with my nephew. And so I went back down the path, and I don't remember what I was doing that for, but I came back, and she's standing there. There's the path on one side is woods, but it's flat. On the other side is the hill, the mountain going up with trees and things. And she's looking up there. And as I get closer, I heard a pop, pop, like if somebody was hitting a tree. And I get there and said, "What are you looking at? What's going on?" She said, "Something's throwing rocks." She said, "You know that Bigfoot show that talks about how Bigfoot likes to throw rocks?" She said, "Something's up there throwing rocks."
So that's not that long ago.
And I'm
then.
looking, it's been a little while, it's been at least 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't when you were kids.
No, we were grown up. My nephew was this is the oldest nephew.
I don't know. I think you've been around too many
12.
haunted dogs.
Hey, this is Bigfoot. And so I'm looking up there. I don't see anything. You can hear something. I feel like I was being watched. And you could hear something moving. Next thing I know, clunk, clunk, here comes another rock. She said, "Okay, we're going out of here." She grabbed me and we ran. And my nephew's running and laughing. He thought it was funny.
So she saw something.
She wouldn't come out and say she saw it. She kept saying something's up there.
Okay.
And she couldn't describe for me. I think it's scary.
But y'all didn't go investigate.
We didn't go investigate because it was throwing rocks at us. I didn't want to
Should have picked up rocks.
instigate. Yeah, you little son of a. I did that one time at my old house. We had creepy things in our woods. That was those Indian spirits. And you could be standing there and you could pick up a rock and throw it.
Mm-hmm.
It always at nighttime, didn't happen in the day. And just stand there and it would get thrown back to you.
Mm.
And
Wait till we get to the great house.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of strange things. I don't have any answers, okay, but there are weird things that take place. I personally, I've never been looking for Bigfoot. I never was tuned into Bigfoot. That you know what I'm saying. I had watched that show.
They call it squatching, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't been. I wouldn't mind. It'd be interesting, but I'm not a big. It's not something I'm rare to do.
Yeah, I don't. So I just never tuned into it. Everything that I've seen that people put out. Your story is more convincing than most stuff I hear or see. I'm telling you, really. You can't get a picture of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And every picture you see, it's been, tree stumps. And
Somebody said the other day, we got these all over. How come there aren't more good videos of UFOs?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm
Bigfoot,
saying. Yeah.
But then when we get them, it's too easy to say there could be somebody in a suit out there running around. It could be. That's what messes it up is these pranksters.
I've seen all the commercial suits.
Uh-huh.
I know what they look like. I have yet to see
A realistic
realistic looking.
I mean, you would have to really be a Hollywood type to be able to get one that
It's always
realistic.
these young boys out there. We saw this Bigfoot. And I got a video. You see this thing funny looking, running like this.
And I don't like to knock anything because
Yeah,
I
I
can't
know.
disprove it, but all that quote unquote evidence I've seen, even the ones that talk the smartest, when you literally listen and you got a plaster, you say it's a foot, whatever. I've been through the woods. I've done primitive camping and all the above. She has too. Her father goes out in the woods all the time. He has yet, he goes out to Talladega National Forest and camps, primitive camping out there all the time.
Myself, I mean,
You know,
I've been camping more times by myself.
well, I've been primitive camping by myself all the way from Mexico to London, Ontario. And believe me, at night, a bird walking on leaves can sound like a freaking Bigfoot because noise carries. You know what I'm saying in the woods?
A lizard,
Yes.
a little bitty tiny lizard can go through the leaves and you're
Yeah,
thinking
I've
that
heard
it's
that.
a huge,
Yeah.
snake or
I remember I had a pup tent. I went up to Oak Mountain over here one time. And I went to the primitive section because it was just a tent. I didn't need water and all that stuff. And in the middle of the night, I'm out there alone. Nobody within sight of me. I guess schools were going or whatever. And something was like, and I got paranoid. I usually don't get paranoid, but I got paranoid. And you let that paranoia seep in, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're pretty much
Everything is like, oh God. And it's like, but I wasn't scared of I didn't even think Bigfoot. But what I thought was some crazy person with an axe.
I'm scared of it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Is people.
My last backpacking trip before I got sick and Daddy had a heart attack on the trail. We were camping. We backpacked up there with Elizabeth, my dad, and myself. And we were backpacking up there. We had a great day. Everything went well. I ate something, and Elizabeth had gotten me water out of the creek, and she back flushed my filter. So guess what Catherine gets all night long, sick as a dog. So I'm laying in my hammock, every 5-10 minutes I'm having to get up and get sick, walk away and get sick. Well, all of a sudden I start seeing these flashing lights. Just keep seeing these flashing lights. Don't hear anything at this point in time. And they start getting closer, closer. And my first thought is, oh crap, it's a UFO. It's going to be a UFO. It's going to be Bigfoot or something, something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kept getting closer and closer. And finally I started hearing voices. And of course, my knife, I kept my knife because I didn't carry my gun with me on the trail. So I kept the knife beside me because I was more paranoid about the peoples than I was about a Bigfoot or a mountain lion or a coyote or anything like that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
That was an interesting trip because me being sick, Daddy having a heart attack on the trail. Elizabeth and I hiked out, left him there. And I sent at that time, she was probably 13 years old, child back in to get my dad. And she hiked out with his stuff because I wasn't able to go again.
There's just all kind of wild things. Like I said, I've never thought about Bigfoot. I've been camping all the way up northeast Tennessee, all over the place. Bigfoot never entered my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people out there looking for Bigfoot. I mean, you go to YouTube, everybody and their brothers out there. What's that? I mean, they're creeping through the woods at night. And,
So making those calls. And
Sound like a weirdo.
You had a good point one time. You said that all these big folks, one time, just one time.
Let me put my hat on so you can't see the point.
You have these people going missing. How do they go out searching for these people? Pretty much arm in arm through the woods.
Yeah, and they don't find,
And till they find the person.
Well, there's a couple of things I also have challenged a few people with. It's like, I'm not going to say, but it's just like some of the videos you see of people going through a vacant house or abandoned building and something will fly across the room. It's like, they have 360 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see this happen when I can see all the way around.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That with the technology's there, it's not that expensive. For less than $100, you can get a 360 camera. I've got two. We got three of them. And it's like the same way with Bigfoot. It's always just out of your vision, just out of camera.
It's just out of frame.
Yeah.
Blur behind
The
the
most
leaves there.
technological, convincing thing, if you will, is the EVP, the recordings, because there's been you and even Frank had some pretty astonishing stuff. Some of that, like paranormal. Some of that I don't buy.
Paranormal?
I mean, when you got somebody like Huff Paranormal out there, and he's always talking to the dead, the spirits, and angels. I mean, every week he's got, Robin Williams died, and 2 days later, hey, Robin.
He might as well do a ghost celebrity talk show.
I mean, really, it's like, okay. And what is?
How you doing today, Robin?
He's got a million subscribers. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
A million freaking subscribers. They ask him, and I don't know, do these people really believe this or what? But
I think a lot of them do, and
yeah.
oh, gosh.
So are you sleeping
I
too?
don't think.
Long
The
day.
thought of the Huff thing made me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got. When I first went across his, I was intrigued until I kept seeing the celebrity stuff posted. And hearing other people in my group were talking about how now there's no way every time somebody dies, he's getting.
Well,
So yeah, it got questionable, and I stopped watching.
I watched it, and about the time that Barbara Bush died,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if he did one or not, but I thought, I could duplicate exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I went to Big Lots, and they got those little $20 little Bluetooth boxes. You know what I'm talking about? Speaker boxes.
Yep.
And with lights and whatnot. You got these little string lights and copper crap wound through it. And then I downloaded an app. But more than that, what I did is I got on YouTube and I found downloaded some YouTube of Barbara Bush talking. You see what I'm saying? And then I turned that into a
spirit box.
Yes. And I thought, okay, I haven't really thought about it and did not put much into it, but I'm able to duplicate pretty much what he's doing. He's had a lot more practice with it and probably got more specialized software to deal with this. But, getting something, you've been on all these investigations, you talk to your dolls, the spirits and whatnot, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
Huff never misses.
So I've had somebody didn't get anything, and then
yeah, and you spend sometimes hours and hours and nothing.
yeah.
I mean, and so and I'm not really knocking him because hey, man, he never leaves home and makes $1 million a year. Got a nice house if you watched him.
Jeez.
So it's like we're doing this all wrong. I'm telling you. And you've got some phenomenal stuff from yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, really do. So
I thought of something that was kind of a change of subject though, but going back to that Bigfoot stuff. Did you ever see that there's a really awesome documentary out there that was it Animal Planet put out called Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives?
I never
never
saw that.
How's that pronounced? Ditloff, the Ditloff Pass incident.
Oh yes, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
That's one we had never talked about that. That intrigues me, the way the condition they found the bodies in, and there's all kinds of.
That was in Siberia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Frozen tundra.
Yeah, and one of them's the tongue was ripped out and eyes pulled out, and that one of them just like something big had beat him, and because his bones were crushed, and what really got him.
And weren't they partially naked or something?
Yeah, because they had fled they had torn the back out of their tent and fled like something else.
Like something scared them, and I remember that now. Yeah.
The diary, so they didn't release a lot until in the last decade. They released some diary entries.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was writing about they felt like were being followed on the last day, and then there was rolls of photos that they didn't release until recently. One of them, the last shot they took, looked like somebody was running and turned back and snapped a picture. This is 1959, black and white old photo, those old cameras, and there's this dark black tall figure like it's lumbering out of the woods.
Oh wow!
And the tree it's next to, the expert that looked at it said that thing, judging by the tree, had to be about 8 feet tall.
Okay, so these guys. What it was in the 70s when they found their bodies, or when was
it was in 1959. It was just so many days after when they went.
Oh, so they found them pretty quick.
Yeah, they had to dig in the snow, and it was so much time. It was still 1959 when they found them, and they got those old black and white photos of the bodies when they were brought into their version of morgue or whatever.
So what was the conclusion from the documentary?
The guy went out, he went to that same spot. He was bold enough, the guy that made the documentary. He's interviewing people. That's how he found, he interviewed people, some guy that had access to the documents they had locked away. He let them look at it there. They couldn't take it with them. They filmed it. Now it's all over YouTube.
I haven't seen it.
But in the end, he and his partner, they were on their way traveling, taking the same path. These 9 people, one of them left halfway there. He's the only one that survived because he left early. He had to go back for some
So he
reason.
didn't have a clue what happened.
And,
What happened.
So he gets he and his partner get all the way up there, halfway or most of the way there. They found a cave. They got into shelter, and they pitched their tent there. Outside the tent, they kept hearing noises. Something knocked by their tent, and when they explored the cave, they found like a big nesting area, like a large animal would have made.
This is the guy that did the documentary.
Yeah. This was
Make
just
sure I
a few years
understand
ago.
that this
Yeah.
is not going back to the team that got
No,
killed. This is
this
the guy that
was-
did the documentary.
This was in the last. When was this? This movie came out maybe 5 years ago.
So he found a nesting area in the cave.
Yeah, it's on the documentary. And then when they get to the location where the incident happened, they're trying to stay the night. They set up over in the wooded area. They set up this trap, not really a trap, but something to lure big, Yeti.
Yeah.
It was raw meat they hung up, and they put a camera there. When they came back, I think it had been knocked over, but it wasn't taken, and they didn't catch whatever knocked it over. But he's going around making. They said that night that happened. There was also some sort of testing. Some flares were shot off by nearby Soviet testing site. And the theory is that whatever that was, it was close to that area, may have disturbed the Yeti, and it was in a rage. And that's why when it came across them, it attacked them. So he decided to shoot off flares, like would have looked like that night.
Right.
And did some other racket. And all of a sudden, out in the distance, you can hear or something just bellowing out. And the girl was panicking. We've got to go. We've got to go. And they went out into the woods, and when they did, whatever it was growling and yelling, kept getting closer. And their guide that was with them didn't want to stay. He said, if you want to live, we need to get out of here.
Oh, wow.
So they left. They didn't, all they caught was the sound. They didn't catch whatever it was because they decided not to stay around, which I probably wouldn't have either.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could ever go to that spot knowing what happened because those bodies were mauled.
Yeah, it's been so long ago, though.
There's natives there that they investigated that there was urban legend that they liked to, if people came on their territory, they would, if you didn't heed their warning, they'd kill you and take your tongue. But upon further investigation, the natives of that time weren't that primitive anymore. And they didn't do that. And they found, that they were innocent. They didn't. In fact, this documentary maker went to that village. There's still those natives living there, today's generation. And they were like, no, we don't do that. The only thing we like to do
is eat
is
people.
warn people away.
Yeah.
They had a name for this yet. They called it something else, but they had a translator there. This village lady was telling them there's something out there. All we do is tell people don't go out there because it might hurt
Something's
you.
out there.
Yeah.
So recently, there's also another YouTube video popped up, and I haven't watched it. I just saw it was shared somewhere,
Yeah.
and supposedly this Bigfoot tore a game cam off. Did you see that one?
No, I have not seen.
And I don't know. I mean, there's everybody's into it. So all I can say is like you would think that as many people as looking for Bigfoot that they would find something more credible. Now I know that the guy that we had speaking at events claims to have found some DNA or something. I'm up in the air about it. Is all I can tell you. Is there something out there? Sure. There's all kind of stuff we don't know. And of course, going back to the indigenous tribes, the Indians, we call them, they had their stories,
Yeah.
So who am I to say? I just know that I've been out and about and whatnot. I've just never had any altercations with a big Earlfoot.
I'm gonna look up this Russian Yeti. I know that they've now got that picture all over since that documentary aired.
And what was the name of that D something?
Here it is. Here's the picture they took.
What'd you put, Russian Yeti?
Yeah, and that's the picture. That's what they took.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's from the documentary.
And that's from 1959. That was the
No,
final
no,
picture.
that is the original.
Yeah, that is from 1959. They didn't have what we have now, where they could,
Mm-hmm.
play with photos.
Well,
And,
if you had a dark room and all kind of stuff, you could do something, but.
Here's a little bit better version of it here. I mean, what is this thing, And
Yeah, that's it.
the height of it is what stuff, because you can say that maybe that was somebody in a coat and this and that, but the person living said, judging by the tree next to it, that thing had to be at least 8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an 8 foot tall person running around there in a coat?
Shaq, he's pretty tall.
Yeah, he was alive in 1959, wasn't he?
Well, he's been
Let's
around.
play some b-ball, boys. Where you running
The
to?
strange thing is, if you watched him, he's not aged a bit.
Talking about Russian Yeti.
And what was the name of that place?
Ditlov. It's spelled weird. D-Y-T. Ditlov. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right. I'm probably messing it all up.
He started it.
Oops.
D-Y?
Yes.
We're having phonetics.
Here it is. D-Y-A-T-L-O-V.
D-I-Y-A.
Yeah, D-Y-A.
Oh, this thing pops up. D-I-Y-A.
T-L-O-V. I think on the program they were calling it Ditlov Pass. Is that pronounced?
Ditlov. I can't remember. The Ditlov Pass incident, and there's
there
all
it
that
is.
stuff there, and the guys, yeah. Ooh, boy. There's
there's the 10.
Yeah.
And,
They,
something scared because they tore out. They said that it was a knife you used to slice the back of the tent. I'm like, why would they go out the back unless something was trying to come in the front and scared the hell out of them?
well, I also remember that some people tried to debunk it because they say that when you get your body in shock and whatnot, you can hallucinate. And
Yeah.
I don't know
But
if they,
then
I don't know if they touched on anything like that in that movie.
But then their faces were mauled and bald.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
see,
told me something about that. Yeah.
That's what, in fact, I'm sure that girl's body. Let's see.
I showed you the girl's body.
You
That's what was
did.
holding on.
There's one of the bodies right there. And but I want to find. Here it is. This is the one whose tongue was ripped out and the eyes were clawed out.
Oh yeah.
And
well, now what do you think of the Bigfoot UFO alien connection?
it could be. It's a possibility.
Have you listened to this Pilates guy with Missing 411?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, you need to check him out. He's
Wow.
all over YouTube. And he was an
411?
FBI agent.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and he's written a bunch of books about all these people come up missing in national parks.
Oh.
And he tells some interesting stories, very interesting to listen to. So,
Very interesting.
very interesting.
Yeah, there's one of the bodies there.
Yeah, you've really studied this one out, haven't you?
Well, I watched that documentary 2 or 3 times. I've got it saved on my DVR. It just wait a minute. No, I've got a digital copy because it's only like $2 or something on YouTube.
Well, we've been talking an hour, so let's take a station break and
Station
say,
identification.
Abnormal Alabama. This is Kevin Kane and his Haunted Dolls, and I am Dr. K, and I'm just here. And there is, what's her name?
This is Shannon, the
Shannon.
haunted doll.
If you want to know more about this character and his dolls, myhauntedolls.com.
Yes.
And go to YouTube. He needs subscribers. So let's get it. Let's go. Go. Subscribe. My Haunted Dolls on YouTube, and also, guess what? Abnormal Alabama on YouTube. In fact, we're going to make a new film this weekend that you got to be looking for. First of the week, I'll have it out. Boom, boom, boom. And you only have to listen to me because this girl narrated, and I probably have to take extra batteries.
We're going to the House of 1,000 Dolls.
A House of 1,000 Dolls, which is almost a very short distance from where The Walking Dead, the parts of it were filmed.
5 miles.
So we'll take an umbrella, and even if it's raining, I'm going to go trudge through there. Yes.
You gonna trudge through
Come
there.
rain, come shine, I'm gonna go through.
And the rain.
And maybe we can find Bigfoot at the Walking Dead site.
Maybe you'll see him running back in the woods.
That's
over there.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Bring your Bigfoot out.
Maybe he'll be carrying off one of those zombies.
Kevin, have you ever seen the man with a hat on?
Man with
Shadow
a
Man with a hat on. Have you ever seen Shadow Man?
I've seen a lot of videos. I hadn't seen the.
I've got a picture of
YouTube
Shadow
video?
Man. Did you see my picture of Shadow Man?
It's gonna be a joke, ain't it?
No,
What's that?
absolutely not.
Oh.
Absolutely not. She knows the woman whose house it was in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she knows it's not a joke. Don't you?
Well, get those pictures of Russian dead bodies off there and pull it up.
I am. I got to type it in, and you messed me up. I can't type and talk at the same time.
Yeah.
There we go.
Shadow Man.
See, that's my website there.
Yes.
Okay, one of my many, and I've got here. Let me go to pictures here.
Shadow Man. Everybody theorizes about that too.
Well, I saw
Is it a
my.
demon?
It's
Is it
not
a
gonna let me
ghost?
go.
Is it
Are you kidding?
a bum bum bum?
It's not letting me go to the site on this freaking place here.
What was the
To-
website?
Alabama Ghost Tours.
Oh, Alabama Go.
It starts to go, and then it goes this craziness. The connection is not whatever. It's like I don't care. It's my site.
It's my side. Here we go. It's under photos.
Oh, on the gallery, you see it over there. Other way. Other way.
Other way,
Other way.
other way,
Other way.
other way,
See
other
photo,
way.
see gallery.
Yeah, photo gallery.
See if it'll let you.
Hey!
The same thing.
Your connection's not private. We don't care.
No, shoot.
Who
Okay.
told you to be boss and pop up here? Block?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it on the web, Charles.
This phone gets a mind of its own. I just tell it too. You're a little son of a.
What?
Yeah.
And he'll say that. Go to church on Sunday.
Are we showing it?
Okay, so let's see. Where's the photo gallery? You see it better here anyway, right?
Yeah.
All right.
There they are. Aha.
There. I did a Halloween wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
And I think I might have seen this before.
All right,
Where's that shadow man?
right there. That was a night vision camera, totally dark in that house. That shadow right there was not there in the before picture or the after picture. No ambient lighting. That house is out in the woods. There's no street lights, no traffic passing, and the total darkness because I got a Sony total night vision camera. And she had complained because her husband had died in that bed, and she complained about being woke up in the middle of the night with a shadow leaning over her. And that's what prompted that investigation.
And you said there was a top hat? Or?
No, she said that. I just said
Oh.
Shadow Man. She's the one that said the top hat thing.
I was about to say that was like a dunce cap. Right
Yeah,
there,
but that's
or
something
a
that was
witch's
hanging on.
hat.
That was something hanging on the wall.
Hanging on the
there,
wall,
yeah.
yeah.
But that shadow was not there before. Yeah. So anyway, are you okay over there, girl? Hello. Okay. And then, have you been here? You may not know. Did you know that there was this grave right by Highway 11? Like there's the road and there's the grave, just north of Springville.
I don't guess so. Is it
I mean,
Highway 11? Is it?
Gadsden Highway, just north.
Oh,
of
Gadsden.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't.
Not
I was
in
thinking
Gadsden.
about this Highway 11.
No,
over here.
well, that's the same highway, but it's just way up above Springville.
Actually, this is County Road 11 over here.
Yeah, well, 11 that I'm talking about goes all the way from Bristol, Tennessee, all the way to the Gulf Coast. But there's a grave right there, side of the road. Interesting stories.
Yes, it is.
That grave had been there. By the way, folks, we're at alabamaghosttours.com, and looking at some pictures I've got up here. This grave had been here before this was a paved road. He was. I don't remember if he got killed by a bear or something on the side of the road, or somebody robbed him and killed him. And back then, if they didn't know who you were, didn't know much about you, they'd pretty much bury you where you fell, And that's where he's been ever since. He was traveling salesman of some sort. You remember a few years ago we had that big snow?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite pictures right there. That cemetery out by.
Ooh.
I got down on the ground and looked up
Pretty.
and took that picture right there. I like that picture. But anyway,
Wow. I don't know if it ever
Oh, here's an-
possibly happened where they're located, but it would be neat to see snow in Bonaventure Cemetery.
there's that same grave right side of the road. Right there.
Oh, okay.
Been there for a long, long time.
You talking about the side of the road? That made me think. You ever heard that Alabama story? It's kind of well, it used to be popular and it's kind of faded away now. But the hole that would not stay filled, and I couldn't tell you now where. Somewhere in
Is that the
southern part of
blue hole
Alabama.
or something? There's one called, I forget, but it's a big hole, that bottomless hole they call it, or something like that.
This one's a smaller. It's like if you went and saw it, it's an indentation in the ground. It's not
Okay.
really a hole so much. The story
Sure.
behind it, Skeeto, is that his name? Bill Skeeto, if
Mhm.
I'm right. Unless I'm getting my Alabama ghost stories mixed up. It was Bill Skeeto was a pastor, I believe, a traveling pastor, and somehow he got framed for a crime.
Mm.
And these men, he was on his way down what was now a paved road, but it was
Mhm.
a path, dirt path back then on
Bill
horseback.
Skeeto?
Yeah, that's him, the hanging. And he, they attacked him. I think they came out and knocked him off his horse with branches. They attacked him, tied him up, and they lifted him up in the tree and hung him on this tree. And he was innocent, it turned out. But they said each one of those men that hung him died mysteriously. One was traveling his horse and the tree limb fell and hit him square on top of the head and killed him.
Jesus.
Another one got shot and was killed in a shootout. This was all back in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
But they said every time people go back and try to fill that hole, you come back later and it was back, the hole was back. One bold man back in the, I want to say 60s around, and they decided to test out the theory that the hole couldn't be filled. So he filled it up and then he put a tent over it and slept on top of that sucker overnight. Do you know when he got up the next morning and he took down the tent and rolled back? The hole was back in the ground.
Even though he slept on it.
Even though he slept on top
Oh,
of it.
man.
And that the first time I heard that story, my dad told it. Then I found it in Catherine Tucker Wyndham's 13 Alabama Ghost
Oh,
Stories.
yeah.
It's kind of hard to find. Now there's a bridge there, but they said the tree he was hung on is still there. It's just hard to.
Now, what part of
pinpoint.
Alabama is that?
It's further south. I'd have to go back and find it. It might have said on there.
Yeah.
But what I found on there one time, the highway, or county road it's next to, but it's finding it. How many trees are out there? There's a bridge you're supposed to find first, and then it's nearby.
Yeah.
But there's another story here somewhere in Alabama in a city square where there was a hanging tree, and they dug a hole. But that was for like legal hangings, like criminals who were arrested and hung by the law. And it's no longer, the tree is still there, but I don't think the courthouse is there. But the hanging tree is still there, and there's still a dent where they dug out.
Wow.
They dug out. Oh, I skipped that part in the Skeeto story. The reason there was a hole there is when they strung him up and hung him, he was so lanky, he was so tall that his feet were skidding the ground. And
So they had
he
to
was
dig it
hanging.
out so he could, yeah.
So one of the men on crutch took his crutch and dug out in the ground underneath him, so his feet wouldn't.
Oh, man.
And then they waited till he was strangled and they took him down.
Oh.
But that's the hole that they can't fill back up.
We're
It keeps
cruel.
reappearing. How are we cruel?
Humans are cruel.
Oh, yeah, we are. That was a
Cruel.
vigilante posse that did that to him.
Yeah, they
because
thought he was a little bit I read there. They thought he was a deserter.
That's what it
Yeah.
was, a deserter.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't blame you. I deserve
Yeah.
one too. I'm glad I'm old again.
Them Confederates and Yankees all out there.
Wow. There are so many interesting, fascinating stories, a lot of history. I love the history part as well.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating stuff. And all, the ghost stories is a good way to share history because it's entertaining, it's mind-bending stuff. And every time I keep learning new stuff. And like the story you just told me, I never paid attention to it. If I ever heard of it, I don't remember it.
I don't know if you can find that little, something like that, you probably couldn't even find it.
Yeah.
It might be grown up, kudzu all over Alabama.
But these are the kind of things that I enjoy. I always did enjoy hearing these tales when I was young, before we had any more than just 3 channels on TV, and there was no cable, no internet.
And you had to get up and change the channel.
But the old folks would sit around and tell these stories.
Yeah.
You know, and they would go back. You got to remember when I was just a wee little nothing, there were people alive that came through the Civil War.
Oh,
You know, that's how old I am. You know? I knew somebody was in the Civil War. So they had all these fascinating stories. Today it's kind of boring because we have so much ambient stuff. We don't pay attention to what's around us.
Today the stories are, did you see on YouTube?
Yeah, that's it. Back then, there was a guy, there was a missionary, and he hitchhiked everywhere. He never drove. He did his missionary work hitchhiking through the Smoky Mountains and whatnot. He would come when he would come back around toward Athens, where I live, North Alabama. He would come and visit us and play the guitar and tell stories about his journeys. About, you know, somebody would pick him up to give him a ride and find out he was a missionary and dump him off in the middle of nowhere because they didn't want him to Bible talk. and then he'd get chased by a bear, and just, you know, you don't get that anymore because it's just we got so out of touch.
And some of the creepiest stories were from way back then.
They were the best.
There's one. Did you hear it? I call it "Ride for a Corpse." I told it on my podcast. I don't know if you heard it. I'll tell it right now.
Tell it.
And then this was here. Some people said it was here in the United States way back 200 years ago. Some people say it was in Europe. But wherever it was, there was this man who was traveling horseback at nighttime trying to go home. That probably could have been in Chelsea. Who knows? Yeah. And he was traveling on horseback, and he came across a cemetery, and it was nighttime, but the moon was full, and it was shining down, and he could see the tombstones illuminated. But he was a brave guy. He wasn't scared, so he kept riding. And he got through there, and there was a young, beautiful girl on the side of the road sort of waving at him. And he pulled up, you know, here's this big stud man. He sees this gorgeous girl, and he's going to pass her up. So he stopped and said, "Can I help you, madam?" And she said, "I'm trying to get home, and I don't have a ride. I've lost my horse." And he said, "Well, I can get you there. Where are you going?" She named the town or village. And you can make one up now. But he said, "I'm headed that way. I'll take you." So he pulled her up on the horse, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he put her on the front in front of him. No, yeah, I think he put him in front of him because you know the way the story goes, she had to be in front of him. Oh yeah, and he put his arms around her. He's riding, and she's there in front of him, and he's for a little while she spoke, and after a while, she just went quiet. But her hair, hair was blowing in his face, and he's looking around, and he's riding along, but he noticed as he was going, she felt lighter and lighter.
Was she fading?
And she was still there. And he gets to the town, he rides in, there's people there that were coming out, walk around, they look, and they're looking at him shocked. And he's like, "Why are they staring at me like this?" And he pulls up, and they're pointing, and they're getting afraid. And he goes, "What's going on?" He says, "I know you don't know me, but I've brought this young lady home." And he looks, and it's no longer a woman; it's a corpse. It's a skeleton. And she just sort of falls off onto the ground. That's why she was getting lighter and lighter, and he's just taken aback. And one of the braver men stepped, taken aback. And as they would say back then, 200 years ago, she was taking the front, but he was taking the back. But one of the braver men stepped forward and explained. He says, "You're not the first." This is one of the oldest, probably ghost of hitchhiker stories there is. He says, "You're not the first. Every time somebody comes to that cemetery, they find her.
And she gets a lot of rides.
She's always trying to get home, and by the time she gets there, she's a corpse, and we have to go back and bury her." He says what happened was she was riding home one evening in that area, and her horse bucked her, and she fell and broke her neck. They found her horse first out in the field when they went to search for her. When she didn't make it home, and they found her body not far from that cemetery, so they went ahead and buried her there. They said every time there's a full moon, that girl is out there. And people try to pick her up, but every time she gets back here, she's a corpse again. Yeah. We have to rebury her.
Those days, and you don't remember, I mean, I'm older than you are, but I mean, I'm old enough to remember when that's what we did. That was our entertainment. The old folks and us kids would solidly just sit there and our imaginations would just cram up. I mean, seriously, we didn't interrupt. We just, and you'd go to bed with these stories just were more vivid than a YouTube video, And that's something, and I've got these YouTube channels, and I've always said I wished I could get it together I like to go around and find old timers that want to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think we missed that. I think you telling that, I think you missed it too.
Yeah, my grandparents grew up in their day, back in the 30s and 40s. The front porch was the entertainment. They would sit on the front porch in the rockers, start in the afternoon after dinner, and watch that sun go down and tell them stories. And the darker it got, the spookier the stories got.
We don't even have front porches anymore.
Yeah, one kid, I don't know if he's joking or what, and somebody mentioned just this past week, somebody was talking about front porch, and he goes, "What's a front porch?"
Yeah, there you go.
That's something we used to have on houses. We ain't got them no more.
Some of the country homes still have
the older homes.
Yeah.
My home has no porch. It has a patio.
Oh, that's it. Nice time of mine. It's got a little concrete slab.
I've got a nice covered patio with the fan.
Yeah, I don't have the fan.
Prior owner built, but I ain't got no porch. I got a front driveway.
No room for a swing or anything in there.
Yeah, you can't swing. Just a swinging.
And we were swinging. Absolutely.
Oh, I used to love sitting there just swinging. In fact, I still like rocking. I bought me one of those Cracker Barrel rockers.
Oh, did you buy one?
I worn it down. When I first moved in that house almost 7 years ago.
Do you sit on your front stoop?
And no, I don't have a stoop. I sit on the back patio facing the woods, and I'm watching and rocking. Sometimes I got a cigar or my pipe, and I'm sitting there. Somebody's there will start telling stories.
Are you spitting your tobacco out?
Yeah, I used to do that, but I like better just rocking. I don't want to sit there.
And we were rocking.
We was rocking.
Rocking Robin.
Rocking Robin.
Yeah.
But now I guess I need to get a new rock because that was weathered down already because I used it so much.
Flat seller to you. How do you haul it? You got a little bitty car. How can you get it a rock?
My last car, the Sonic I had before this one, actually had a bigger back area. We were able to fit it in there. I had to tie down the trunk so the back, the bottom part was sticking out.
Yeah.
And I got it home, and I was glad to have it. But I probably just, if I ever get another one, I'd have it shipped to me.
It's ordered online.
Or I'd use my sister's van.
Yeah.
Fit it in there.
Those stories are fascinating to say the least. And I try, you just reminded me of the guy that I can't remember his name. But
in fact, I interrupted you.
You sure did.
I was just going to say, Catherine Tucker Wyndham wrote a whole book about front porch rockers.
Yeah.
And but go ahead.
Is it okay if I tell?
Yes, you told. I'm smelling them hamburgers.
You want a hamburger?
Nah, I better not eat that.
Yeah. You look like you stored up for the winter.
Now, what was she going to say?
I just, you remind me of that friend of my dad's that never learned to drive. There's a lot of people back in those days that never learned to drive.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't, and he hitchhiked to the Smokies doing his missionary work, and he would come back occasionally because he had family there in Athens, and he'd come by and see us, and he'd tell these stories, like hitchhiking along in the middle of the night, and I started talking the Bible to this guy, and he got pissed at me and dropped me off in the middle of nowhere at 2 o'clock in the morning, and walking along, and bear chasing me, and I mean, just, and they lived it, so the way they told it was very vivid and very good storytelling. We've lost that. And that's YouTube storytelling.
Yeah, I will say this: they do have. There's some channels that do animated horror stories I like to watch, where they take these old stories and make modern animated.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
When you started telling the story about the hitchhiking thing, and I'm listening to it, outside of it being on a horse, there was a similar story somewhere outside of Chicago, where the guy's driving along at night, except she didn't turn into a corpse. Are you familiar with that story?
Yeah, you're talking about Resurrection Mary?
Yeah, that's it.
That's one of my favorites.
And it was somewhere outside of Chicago up there. Yeah.
If you want to see a creepy, the best way to watch and hear about that story is going, and they got on YouTube, pull up the old Unsolved Mysteries segment of Resurrection Mary, and they really performed that one well. They had the actress playing that part was creepy looking. And there was one part where she didn't have a face. One of the witnesses saw the Resurrection Mary, and she didn't have a face. and she was walking along the side of the road. And when the way they recreated that dramatization on the show was creepy. That scared me when I was a little kid, Nick.
Creepy. So I sold a book today.
You did. Woo!
And
And ring the bell.
yeah, ring the bell. So I sold the book today, and anyway, the lady that bought it from me, I made her take a selfie with me, and she wanted to autograph it, and so her name was Tracy, Traci.
Okay.
And so I said, Tracy, I said, I hope you keep the future in future forms. So anyway, but he's got a bunch of books. His audio book is selling. Make sure you get the audio book before they sell out.
They sold last week. Over the weekend, there were some sales when I pulled it up Sunday, and I'm excited to see more.
So he's that close to retiring.
Oh, yeah.
He just needs to sell 1 million more books, and he'll be there. Just 1 million more, right?
Yeah, if one of these rich people if rich folks bought my book, and if 1 million people bought one copy of my book each, I'd be.
But here's the deal. I've always said I don't need a lot of customers. I just need one real good customer.
One rich customer.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that the books normally sell for how much?
There you $10.
Okay, $10, and you make a few dollars profit on that.
Yeah, on retail I get depending on how much. Sometimes that's $3 a copy.
All right. So here's the deal: if you buy in quantity, like 1 million books, he will discount for quantity. And if you just make $1 per book, it's still $1 million.
Now, if they bought it directly from me, I'd have to order a bunch, but
it'd be worth it.
I would.
You make a lot more money buying them yourself and selling them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
they sell on Amazon, I only get about
spending $2 or $3 a copy and then keeping the rest.
Yeah. Well, when I sell it on Amazon, I'm only getting about half the money. Mm-hmm. But when I buy and sell, I'm getting a lot more.
You're only paying a couple of dollars a copy to order them,
$2.50 or something like that.
You charge $10 a book.
Big difference. And they do a good job. What do you think about the cover? I made that myself.
That's a beautiful cover.
Does he look like a ghost?
He does. I don't know about her.
No, she's not. She's alive. She's dating the ghost.
She looks creepy, but with her back to you.
Are there any men in that book that date women ghosts?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Even famous people. You hadn't even read my book yet. Even famous people.
I've read the book, but I'm asking questions.
Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters. He's got stories, but you got to read the book.
I've read the book.
Some famous. Just shut up. Some famous freaking people. In fact, the title of the chapter is. Look here.
I don't know if you know, but Dan Aykroyd is autistic. You wouldn't know it, except that
I'm autistic too.
Autistic, not artistic. He's autistic. My nephew's autistic. When he was a baby, they lived in a house. My brother-in-law used to be a working pastor. He was a pastor of a church. What is the name of that little town that they based in the heat of the night on?
Chapter 10. Famous people who dated the dead.
What is that little town in Georgia? I know they're very racist even today.
That's anywhere but Atlanta.
But this one is famous. They based in the heat of the night off of that town. In fact, they filmed some of it there. What is it called?
I thought it was Savannah.
No, it wasn't Savannah. I'm going to rack my brain now. My sister was here. She'd tell me. But
you just got 3 more gray hairs.
I see it pop.
There's a 5th gray hair coming out right now.
Night Town. I'm gonna have to look it up because if I don't, I'm gonna.
It'll drive you crazy.
Yeah. Sparta, Georgia.
Sparta, Georgia.
And when I lived there, I visited there 2 or 3 times. And the old church he pastored in was the original building. It's from the 1800s.
We've got to go to Mosquito's Hole.
We got to go to Mosquito's Hole.
Or forget. Send a new thing. Don't forget.
You can find it. But they may have a historical marker there. I come to think of it, I don't know. Anyway, back to what was I telling? Sparta.
Oh, you were talking?
Yes, I was talking.
Would you hush and let me hear the story?
You future corpse, shut up. Don't die.
I'm sorry.
Sparta, Georgia. My brother-in-law was a preacher at the Baptist church there. They were still kind of segregated out there. It's so far back in the past still. But it's one of those old historical towns, and he lived in what they call those houses they let the pastor live in.
Parsonage.
Parsonage,
Mhm.
yeah. And this is an old house from way back. Well, it was built in the 40s. And so all their pastors from that time on lived in that house. And he's
Right.
living there. It's an old house. And when I went in there, I felt like there's got to be a spirit here because there's a lot of energy here. At nighttime, my sister, she and her husband were in the master bedroom at the end of the hall. There was the nursery room between us, and I was in the guest room. And there, the bathroom connects the guest room with what they were using as the nursery for the guest bath. I guess it was once kids' bedrooms, and they had a shared bath. But I could hear in there, and at nighttime I would wake up, and I would hear adult footsteps going back and forth.
How do you know they're
from night
adult?
because of the heavy footfalls.
Could have been a
And it
big
was a
kid.
man. I
Could've
could
been a big
sense
kid.
a man. No, it wasn't a big kid. I could sense an
Could've been
older male.
Bigfoot.
Come on, man. I could sense an older male there, and I could hear him pacing from my room to the nursery and back. And while that's going on in the nursery, this was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm hearing my nephew giggling, and again, he's autistic. And as I'm listening to that, I'm hearing there's another voice in there, and I'm hearing while this man is pacing, there's an older woman in there, soft voice, just ooh, humming to my nephew. I could, from where I could hear it, it was like she was right next to his
Entertaining
room.
him.
And he's giggling, and I'm sitting there, and I can just picture him in my head. I can see this old man walking the woman. I know from what I picked up on, it was a pastor and his wife. They used to live there. And they did say there wasn't one that was there long enough till he died. He and his wife both passed away while living in that house. Whether they was in the house when they died, I don't know, but they were living there, and they were in their old age. And so I wondered if that was, I don't know why he was pacing, so like something was making him, maybe he was just a pacer. I pace sometimes.
So that was his wife, you think, was singing?
It was his wife singing. And I told my sister, that's why I said, "Boo, that's weird in there." She says, well, sometimes I hear him all the time. They're giggling almost every night about the same time. I said, well, I heard more. I'm closer to it. And I heard more. I heard footsteps. I heard, and there, an older woman's
So did you
voice.
get up and investigate?
No, I stayed in my bed with a cover.
You live with all these dolls and you're
This
scared?
was pre this. This was way back in
This is before you-
2002.
This is before you got courage.
But yeah, before, now I grew up in a haunted house, but it wasn't that in your face. I mean, it was like things you would kind of hear.
And that was
and
in
see.
Sparta?
This was in Sparta, and I didn't want to get up. Because I'm like, what's going on? I didn't want to. It was one of those things where it felt like a serious spirit, and I didn't want to get up and disturb his pacing.
Okay.
And I didn't have equipment and things back then to sit. I wasn't a full-fledged
your brain.
investigator then. I wasn't an investigator.
Oh,
I started back
it
till
wasn't fully
2003.
developed, right?
Look, Baldy.
That's been, 18
Uh,
years ago.
Almost 20 was 2000. So yeah.
Yeah, I
18
forget that
years.
you're so young that you were like a child then. So
Yeah, I was still. Yeah, I was early 20s then. I mean, I wasn't like I am now, but I had the heightened senses. I could sense who it was, and I knew there wasn't anything to be afraid of. But still, I was just freaking out hearing that because it had been a while since I lived in that childhood home. I was living in an apartment where nothing happened, and so to face that and have it kind of come back on you, it takes you a little while. And
you just lay there and
I
said,
never had footsteps right in my room when I grew up in the house. It was always across
said-
the house. They
you're
kept their distance.
sitting there thinking, when's daylight coming?
Daylight come and they want to go home.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
stayed there. And
My grandmother's house up in Athens, and my grandfather had passed away like a year or two before I was born on my mother's side of the family. And he had built the house by hand that she lived in until she died.
Mhm.
In a little frame house, and I slept in the back bedroom, little twin bed back there. And you would hear in the middle of the night light switches click, click. And back in those days, now they're very soft. You don't really hear them. But back then it was just definite click noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember laying in that bedroom, and there were 2 or 3 windows around my bed. And that was the first shadow man, hat man that I saw as a preteen, right outside my window. Definite shape, figure. I remember it to this day. So she was asking, or you were asking about the hat man or whatever.
Yeah.
And in those days, this was like late 50s
Mm-hmm.
and early 60s. And my uncle was big. Back then, the UFO thing was huge. It was like, ooh, everybody was talking about it. It wasn't that far removed from this Area 51 stuff and, whatnot. And so my uncle, my mother's brother, would come over, and I was just a kid, but he'd tell me all these stories. And, oh, we saw these lights over here. And so he kind of jammed up my interest.
Yeah, jammed up your interest.
Yeah, and all that stuff when I was a kid. But that was my first experience with the shadow hat man that you were talking about. And I would hear things. But the hat man, that scared me. The shadow man, that scared me. But the noises in the house never bothered me. We lived in some older homes growing up. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 different houses the whole time I grew up. One of them was a big 2-story old frame house. And nothing ever really scared me that much. I know one time my family had moved and I stayed in the old house. I was old enough at that point to stay by myself. They had bought another house down the road and didn't get rid of this house. And I had left and come back and I couldn't open the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Something had blocked the front door from the inside. They're like, I'm calling the police. Before I go in this house. Never did figure out what that was.
I had a lady, I lived in a house in Cava Heights, and it was my grandfather's cousin that they had fixed the house up for, and she had moved in there in her elderly age. And as she's living there, she winds up dying.
Oh boy.
And I eventually moved into it as an adult, and she always wore this sun hat. One of those big brim garden hat things.
Yeah.
And
You scared me there, little girl.
Okay, I think it's time to leave.
and she was wearing the garden hat, and anyway, she would walk up and down my hallway after she died, several, and it was always a yellow hat.
You look insane there.
I am.
Crazy Kelsey, selling his book.
I will haunt you.
Let's talk about dreams.
She's
Okay, yeah, I wanted to hear more about this.
she's I've got to leave.
Middle of the night. Okay, the other night I've been having problems sleeping.
This
lately.
about Haunted Caroline. That sweet Haunted Caroline.
Sweet Caroline.
Well,
Dun,
There-
boop,
You guys will find out that Caroline died in a fire when I.
There's too much fire going on today.
Oh,
Were you here for the
I'm
rest
on
of the
fire.
story when I lost? No.
No, I was out.
So come to find out that their house that just burned, they had it 20 years. And I said, what was on the property before that? She said, another house that had been there about 20 years and burned. I said, what's this with every 20 years? I said, burning. Sorry, but you were talking about fire.
Anyway, Caroline died in fire. Well, I don't know if I was dreaming about Caroline dying in the fire,
You got smoke detectors in your house?
Oh yeah, all over. So,
but
and they're
I
good.
felt the need to message
Check it
Kevin and
out.
make sure Kevin was okay for some reason in the middle of the night.
What was
I
the
don't remember.
dream?
I don't remember
Oh,
exactly.
you don't
what
remember.
exactly what the dream
I don't know how
was.
that is.
It was just,
Some I
is
remember,
Caroline
some I
okay? Is Kevin okay? I need to message Kevin.
Oh, God. Kevin's out of
She's
sleep.
still
I think about
And if
it.
I'm not mistaken, it was
Yeah.
probably about 3:00 in the morning when I messaged you.
Kevin, it
don't-
was
I saw a little
because
later that morning when I was on.
you got to
I got to
understand.
work and-
Kevin, he goes to bed and he's rubbing the doll's
Oh,
hair.
I don't rub the dog's hair when I do.
Hey,
Why you get so defensive
Kevin.
with that?
Because
Kevin,
it makes me sound like a freak.
Yeah. Hey,
Did you
Kevin,
say-
how many dogs?
you want me to tell you something funny?
This man lives
sleep
with
with a
300 freaking
You
dogs.
sleep with a dog?
the new
Well,
one.
When a
is
woman does it, it's no problem. When a man does it, oh, he's weird.
We still love you, Ken. Even though you're weird.
The newest one I got, the one I sent you a picture
Uh-huh.
of, the newest one, it sleeps on the bed, it lays on the bed right beside me.
Well, there.
So which one are you sleeping with now?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
I sleep with,
I
I
have
sleep
put-
with it.
Now I have just to
Yeah,
test
listen.
out.
Go ahead.
Look,
Confession,
Mr. Clean Senior.
Confession.
Clean
Believe me, at least I've got lifestyle calls.
You know what, that's all, is that what you said?
Yes, you're a freakazoid with yours, but with mine, I'm a serious studier of the paranormal.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, huh?
Let's see. But yeah, I did. One time now, I said, I want to see, because I kept hearing about how sometimes, this is my early days of collecting, several years ago. And I kept hearing about they'll also communicate with you in your dreams. And I thought, in my mind, I'm thinking, do I have to have them close to me? I guess now, I guess no, but because I've had dreams. But
Is that the
back
only reason you
then-
want them close to
I decided to put one of this real pretty doll I'd gotten there with the
you?
bonnet.
Real pretty. What kind of hair
Everything
does
with,
she
oh
have?
my gosh.
Let him finish
It's
the
just a
story.
little vinyl doll, vintage doll that was probably once some precious little girl's toy. I put it up there next to the bed. I was going to see what happens. So it's up there at the headboard, and I lay down and go to sleep. Now, no bad dreams happened, but I kept having, I had my normal dreams. A lot of times I'll dream about family stuff going on. I'm somewhere at a reunion or something. But in this dream, I kept, the whole time I'm carrying this little girl, and I have no idea who she is. And I'm like, whose little girl is this? But for some reason, it seemed natural, and I'm walking around with her, and I'm carrying her. She's just so happy, and she's probably like 2, 3 years old, and I'm walking around, everything, you know. And when I wake up that morning, I remember, and this one's I remember vividly, as I'm waking up out of the dream, I'm holding her, and I'm waking up, I'm still holding her. I'm like, what the heck? I look down, and that doll is in my arm. Now, when I went to sleep, it's over here.
Mhm.
When I wake up, it's here.
What's going on?
And I don't know if that, I should have had a camera up, because you know, it dawned
You
on me,
haven't
and
put a camera in your house yet?
the few times I went and put up a camera in my room and went to bed, it always dies, even though it's fully charged in a 6-hour recording, it dies 45 minutes in. They suck the batteries dry.
Maybe
I
we
mean,
need
this
one
sounds like
plug-in
stuff-
one.
He can make a fortune on porn.
I need to plug maybe some paranormal.
We
porno,
need to get you a GoPro.
a GoPro.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
looking at those other night.
Oh, I got a suitcase full of I love those.
I've been advanced myself in the camera technology, but the one of them though that I did get got a clip. I thought I put it on my YouTube channel, but I can't find. I think some of my videos have disappeared.
They
There's
have.
2 that I can't find.
Your
I know
dolls are
most-
going in there deleting
Maybe.
videos.
Did you do that?
See,
Anyway.
look at it. Look at it.
Hey, I talked to
This
mine
is
that
Now,
way.
I've got a question for you,
Haunted
though.
doll Shannon.
I got a question for you, though.
What?
Have you ever thought about having kids?
I could adopt a little orphan Annie. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know, I can't get a woman to stay around me long enough to.
Well, I mean, when she's
But,
got to sleep with you and dolls, and you
Yeah.
wake up cuddling a doll, it's like maybe she wants to be cuddled.
That doll, how did it get from way over there into my
You
heart?
grabbed
How
it.
do you know that?
Well, because I know you.
Now,
You're saying in my sleep, I perfectly reached over, took that doll, and curled up like.
Yeah, you're running around with the doll all night. You probably
I was
sleepwalk
in my
too.
dream. I had a real little girl.
Did
in my
you check
arms.
to make sure your feet weren't dirty from roaming the streets?
you
No,
know
I
what?
didn't do that.
You
know,
might have sleepwalk. I used to sleepwalk when I was a kid.
sleepwalk.
I'd
I've
wake
never
up.
sleepwalked.
I'd go to bed and wake up in another room.
Yeah,
all
I've
that
never
stuff.
had that happen. I've known people when I was a kid. There was a girl in my neighborhood that was sleepwalking.
Oh yeah.
I always hear about it's dangerous to wake them up. Don't wake them up. But I don't know if that's true or urban legend. But I know people sleep. I never. I've always
Yeah.
wake up in my bed. I don't feel like I've slept walking. My
Do you
family
wake
never
up
saw
tired
me
or refreshed?
refreshed unless I don't sleep enough hours.
Having love sessions with your
Oh
dog.
God, you son of a!
Smack.
I don't do that.
Um,
I'm not buying a Walmart. I'm buying one of them Nerf clubs, and I'm just gonna beat him
But
over
I've
the
seen
head.
you the videos.
You haven't
like-
seen me sleep with a doll.
Oh,
You
shit.
seen me with one. I don't have one, rather. You seen me with one on couch, and I treated like a child to get your.
Child, my butt.
Your butt. What's your butt got to do with it?
See,
He's making up
He's
stuff.
always talking crap. over
You
here.
can look at My Haunted Dolls, Kevin Kane on YouTube. Go to myhauntedolls.com, find the link.
You know,
Just-
Go pick video of me in bed. Hey, I got off the subject though. One of the cameras things when I was in bed, going back and played it, and this was back when I just had Patty and Andrea, a few dolls, 6 or 7 years ago. And I went back and played the next day, and I'm listening on the headphones. And before the camera died, maybe 10 minutes before, I hear humming, like a little girl humming, and then at the foot of my bed at the same time, you see the comforter get pulled. Now the humming got me, but that I didn't pay attention to. I thought, well, that's my foot moving. Until I sent it to my buddy Phil in New York, who's big on, he used to run a photography store, he knows about video. He watched it and sent it back to me. He said, that's not your foot. He said, I can outline where your feet are. Your feet are over here. Where this comforter is.
You didn't want to hear that, did you?
It looked like it, you know what I imagine, like somebody, like a maid or something, sometimes pulling on the comforter to straighten it. And it was a little girl humming at the same time. And you see that tug. And I need to find, I got it on my computer. I need to re-upload it on YouTube.
How many, over the years, how many experiences have you had outside of the EVP, spirit box stuff? Just phenomenal things happen, just like what you expressed. Over the years of accumulating these
Just
dolls.
my personal experience. I couldn't count.
Yeah, so it does happen
from
frequently?
giggles to I can be sitting in my main room watching TV, and in the bedroom I hear the closet door open and close by itself.
And you got a new house. It's not
yeah,
like
my
the ancient
house-
place.
It was built in 2010, and the
Yeah.
people that lived there before me are still alive, and they only used it as a vacation home because their daughter used to live there. They didn't even live in it.
Those are kind of like garden homes, aren't they?
Yeah, they're garden
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
And
Nice little places.
it's a beautiful. I think I got the best in the neighborhood, but because it was an attorney that owned it, he had it built the way he wanted
Oh, that's why it's on it.
it.
Freaking lawyers.
Freaking lawyers.
You deal with them. You know what I'm talking about.
But yeah, there's no death in the house. Nobody's died in the house. It's a new house now.
Not
The
that you
land.
know of. It's a lawyer. Come on.
You think he stalked somebody? Well, he didn't even live there. He
It
lived
don't
in
matter.
Texas.
The way you gonna stash the body where you live. It's like it kills him where he lives and brings
Oh,
him there.
Lord.
Have you looked in the walls?
I looked at the walls. Those way you would be able to smell something like that.
I don't know.
God, you and your imagination.
Imagination. I've been around. You know, imagination for. Okay, so it was your imagination that you woke up with a doll in your hand.
Look, it was not my imagination.
Oh, so it's my imagination.
I'm talking about your creepy imagination.
I don't
Dead bodies
have
in the
there's
wall.
nothing creepy about me.
I have no evidence there did bodies in the wall.
I have no evidence
But-
that you snuggled
Oh
with
my gosh, we're arguing in the circle.
pretty
now.
baby.
She's gonna get you. She said, "Oh, man's messing with my daddy. I don't like you." But anyway,
We have fun.
but
Guys, I hope you don't take it serious.
No.
We banter back and forth all the time.
what was I even going to? I was
You
going to tell
were
something
you're
important.
talking about the lawyer stashing bodies in
You
the
asked
wall.
about experiences I've had.
Oh,
I
yes,
didn't get
yes.
it all out.
Yeah.
There's been
You keep
knocks.
distracting me.
There, I can sit there and just hear knocks on the wall. I've heard music coming from way up here, but there's no attic space. And I walked around the house trying to find it, and it's always in that one little spot. And I know there's nothing up there, but I hear music box playing.
Is that where I saw the lights?
Yeah, well, you saw the lights on the other corner. It's the same room, though. I think y'all heard the music box music when you were there.
I don't remember music about music, but I remember the lights, because I'd never seen the lights like that before. Never
Yeah.
have seen them before
Hmm.
like that.
That was the night I woke up. This was early in my collecting years, and I had that old doll from the 20s, and I had her in that other room. I moved her in my room after this. I was hoping I'd get more stuff, but I didn't. But I woke up that night after she arrived, and I heard what I could best describe as clapper girl music from the 20s. You know, like clapper girls would dance to. It's like somebody turned on a radio, but there was no radio, TV, or anything in that room. And I get up and I'm walking in there, it's the middle of the night, and the closer I got to that room, the softer it got. Until I reached that door and the door was closed, the cat wouldn't go in there. And the music stopped as I opened it. And I'm looking in there, and there's that doll sitting there just smiling. I said, I think it's that doll. So I moved her in my room. I thought, I hope I can hear this again, maybe catch it on. But it never happened again.
Of course not.
But
They know.
They know.
We-
They suck my batteries dry.
If
They
you
know.
haven't paid attention the last couple of weeks since the holidays, you'll notice that we have a different background here. We're a different location, and we're in a subway.
Yes.
We're in New York, and we're on the subway. You see the lights behind us, and there's
That reminds me of another story.
yeah. Fortunately, it's late at night, and there's not much traffic going on here. But live from New York, it's
Have
Tuesday
you
night.
heard the urban legend? I love creepy urban legends. Have you heard the one about the man in the middle? It's
That's a song.
urban legend.
Michael
No,
Jackson.
that's Man in the Mirror.
Oh, okay.
The Man in the Middle. It's a New York subway folklore story. And it goes like this. And it was in modern times, somewhere back in the 80s or so. This young girl
That's
was
ancient for
riding.
you.
Hey, I was a kid back then. Call me old. But
No,
anyway.
you thought about that.
This was back in the day, and she was riding home on the subway, going home, and she got on the subway. It was quite empty except a few people. There was an older gentleman sitting in the back, and then across from her where she sat down, she noticed there were three gentlemen there. Two of them were looking down on each side, but one in the middle was staring straight forward, and she felt like he was staring at her. He just kept staring and staring, and he never blinked. And it gave her the freaking creeps. And she wanted to say something, but she knew about New York subways, and she didn't want to talk to these guys. So she just kind of turned and tried not to look at him. He just kept staring. And she looked over, she noticed the old man was kind of looking, and he had moved closer up to a closer seat, and he's looking at these guys. Well, they come to a stop, and it's not her stop, but before she knows it, that old man is going, "Dear, we're at our stop. Come with me." And she's looking at him like, "Who is this?" He's going, "Come on with me." And he guides her off the bus, and he gets her off, and he's panicking when they get off, and the bus goes on. She said, What are you doing? Who are you? He said, "I'm trying to get you off there." He said, "Those three men, the one in the middle was dead. He had a bullet hole in the back of his head." She said, "I didn't," and he said, I was
So where did you
afraid
hear
they were
this
going to do
story?
something. It's all over. I've got a book at home of urban legends with it.
Oh, man.
But
A
he
corpse
said,
sitting there.
that's why he was staring straight ahead after the whole
Because he was
time.
dead.
The old man said, he said, I'm just assuming, but I think it was a drug deal gone bad. And those two men might have shot him before we got on, and they hadn't had time to get off yet. He said, "I didn't want them to hurt you, so I got you off." So she thanked him, and they called the police, and then you can make up your ending, I guess. They never found the men. Ooh, they never found the body.
So every January the 13th in the subway,
On a full moon.
on a full moon down in the subway, you can
I'm
see
sure
it.
there's probably quite
Yeah, I
a
was
few
going to say there's a
people
different kind of full moon sometimes. Those
There
guys
have
are
been
crazy,
so
man.
many people who died natural deaths and getting run over by a subway. That the subway should be pretty haunted. Weird things go. Have you ever been to New York City? You ever
I
been to
have not been there
subways?
yet. I've been to Pennsylvania, Maryland, but I've never been in New York.
There is. I mean, that's a different world. You go through the tunnel, and you come out a different world.
Is it
It's
the Hudson River Tunnel?
Hudson River Tunnel or the Holland Tunnel is what I was
Holland
talking about.
Tunnel. Okay.
And it's a different. You come out on a different planet. I spent a lot of time. My dad's brother, lived outside of Philadelphia in Lansdale, Hassfield area of Philly, and we'd go to New York all the time.
Yeah.
And then I got part of my education up in New York.
Oh, that's what's wrong with me. I mean,
Yeah, I learned to say slang like "that's dead" and stinking like Abraham Lincoln.
did you say hot dog? I'm gonna hot dog over
Yeah.
here. Hot dog over here.
Let me tell you what. I was at the Trade Center Towers 1 week before they were hit the first time.
Mhm.
That's how far back I got my education. That's when they bombed it down in the basement that time. They didn't succeed in dropping them at that point. But those towers were dizzying. You stand up and you look up and it's like, whoa, those things were way up there. Interesting city. You ever get a chance? And really, it's not. I wasn't scared. I never was scared. Just some strange things because it's a very populated area. There's more people live in New York City than live the entire state of Alabama.
Oh yeah.
And same with Chicago. You ever been to Chicago?
Nope, I've been to
God,
Chicago.
you gotta get out and move around.
Oh my gosh, I try to go too far up north. I've been all
Well,
across.
if they caught
From
you
South
up there
Carolina
with
to
this, if
California.
they caught you up there with this stuff,
I've been to Hollywood. I've been to the Hollywood sign
Yeah,
where they
well.
claim it's haunted. Been on the Queen Mary.
my mother's side of the family, a lot of entertainers.
Yeah, I've got an entertainer in me.
You are an entertainer,
Yeah,
but I used to go to Universal
I've been to Universal.
City and
Universal
Muhammad
Muhammad.
Mulholland Drive,
Mulholland,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
we went up down there, Sunset Boulevard.
had a cousin that lived in what's his name's old mansion's burned down now, but a lot of interesting things. That house, Errol Flynn's. You remember Errol Flynn?
Yeah. I
So
know
he had bought Errol Flynn's mansion, lived in it.
Robin Hood.
And Tracy, Rick's daughter, to tell all kind of haunted stories about that place. Her
Oh, I
bedroom
remember
was
Hollywood
upstairs,
Ghost
right
Story.
over the main floor there, and there would be nobody there, but there'd be dancing going on. And somebody playing the piano. Interesting stuff. But shortly after Rick died, the place burned down. And so anyway, but
I tell you, the creepiest Hollywood story for me would be is the George Reeves house, the original Superman actor. You know.
oh yeah, well, what about the Black
Mysteriously
Dolly
died.
or whatever
Yeah.
it is?
But the thing creepy about George Reeves, his house, even this day, people won't live there long because people have told of at night coming in and they look up at the top of the stairs as a man
Mhm.
in a Superman outfit with a hole in his head. And that's kind of unnerving when you look up there and there's Superman with a hole in his head
Well,
looking
what
down
about
at you.
the other actor from Hogan's
Uh,
Heroes that is the mysterious death? You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? The main character of Hogan's Heroes. You know who I'm talking about,
See, another one of them things that flew out of my mind now.
but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, let me look up.
And I know you're younger, but you may have heard a song, Look Out for the Cheater, Look Out for the Foolhardy Clown. You heard that song?
Is it Bob Crane?
Yes,
There
yes.
it is.
He had a mysterious death.
I was reading about that
He
again
had a
about
very
year ago.
mysterious death. Well, anyway, I've been to the, places you probably wouldn't go, but back then the Playboy Club was a big thing. And they had one in St. Louis, and I went there, and that guy sang. He was the entertainer there, the one that did his song, Look Out for the Cheater, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And right after that, he disappeared, never was found. I mean, off the earth. Strange disappearance. You got to check into Pilatus and his missing 411 stuff.
Yeah.
You don't buy the books, just listen to the YouTube videos because they're very interesting stories. And these people, some of them just poof, gone. And if you look, this is fascinating stuff because you start digging at all these kids that come up missing, not all around the world constantly. And we only hear about a very few of them, mostly blonde white girls, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know. And they get Lifetime movies made about them.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to check this guy. I just type in missing 411 into YouTube, and you'll go to sleep listening to that. Really, he's a good storyteller. He's written books about it. And somebody sent me a friend request. But you would enjoy that. It's a good story to go to sleep with.
Late at night, and I watch paranormal stuff. And
I keep my iPad in bed with me, and that's how I go to sleep. Is I'll find something on YouTube to listen to.
I've been watching those series and movies on Amazon. This amateur guy in Kentucky's been making. Started out like it was real, but they finally admitted it's made movies. It's not real, but it's still creepy.
YouTube stuff?
No, it's on Amazon on Prime.
I wonder what this stuff paranormal guy's
It's
going to do.
called The Blackwell Ghost, and there's 4 parts.
Blackwell Ghost. I never watched The Black Christmas.
Oh, we gotta watch that.
Never watched that.
That original.
Do we
I read the reviews of that new one that came out last month, and like I knew it bombed. People were just tearing it apart.
They did a remake of it?
Yeah, it's the second remake they've done. Leave it alone, Hollywood.
Hollywood.
The 2006 one is better than what they. I knew when I saw the preview. I said this looks like the whole movie right here in this preview.
I went to LA. Dad had a trucking company back then.
LA is fine. The sun shines most of the time.
And
Feeling his lay back.
I wanted to go to California, so he got a load to California. And got on the truck with him, and we went to LA. And first time I ever saw somebody in a purple suit.
You know, this is
Los
early
Angeles.
early 90s,
Mm.
and
Really?
it was late 80s, early 90s, and
When we went
interesting
through,
characters.
there were some weird ones out there when I used to have a friend that lived out there. Well, she used to live out there. Her and her husband and kids. I went out and stayed with them. They took me on the Queen Mary, Universal Studios, all that. And we drove down where the Roosevelt Hotel and Chinese Theater and all that.
Mhm.
In front of the Chinese Theater, the handprints.
Oh,
and then
yeah, oh,
after
yeah.
that, you got the sidewalk of stars. And you couldn't get out there because maybe they're getting ready for a premiere that night, but it was
Oh, they
packed.
blocked that
You
crap
couldn't
off.
get
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there. So all I could do was we drove by, I could see some of the hands out there, but I couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And plus there was this black car parked out with these guys that looked very sketchy in suits and sunglasses and slick back hair.
Trust me, everybody in LA looks sketchy.
They're talking to each other like a deal, you know. And
What
I
the,
thought,
what the heck?
I said, that could be agents, that could be drug dealers, that could be the mob.
It's just what we call them is just a bunch of wannabes.
Yeah, these guys look authentic.
I celebrated my 21st birthday out there
Ooh.
and rented a limousine.
Oh,
And
what's going on?
that was back when, what was the Commodore's lead singer guy name? He had that hit song back out there, but I used to be a high roller back in those days when I had hair on my head. But anyway, we're getting close to closing time.
Time's already flying.
Hope that somebody enjoyed this show tonight in spite of some of the insanity. I try to keep him steady, but
You hear the one that
You know, he just can't keep his hands off these dolls. He just,
Look,
it's like,
who's the one saying it over here? This one right here, the bull and the buddy he-man.
You know what, guys? We're driving to I'm riding to Atlanta with these two on
See, I'm
Saturday.
scared to death. It's gonna be 2 and some odd minutes, 2 hours and some odd minutes with this guy, and they got to come back 2 hours.
Ooh,
and
just
some-
some odd minutes. Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll live stream it all the way. You got a place to plug in the phone, right?
I got the charger.
Okay.
bring a couple of more extra plug-ins because
Yeah.
There's one in the back, one in the front. I'll have to have my Waze up there, so it'll be plugged
he's
in, so
got to have his.
I can see the
So
directions.
when
to
you
get
travel,
there.
do you take a doll with you?
Depends on where I'm going.
See, I knew it. I knew.
When I went to
If I got
Savannah,
one
so-
riding in the seat with
If
him,
I'm going
He's-
somewhere home,
I hope you don't get in the
On the
high
way-
occupancy lane and
on the
try to
way
ride
back.
that doll.
on the way back we'll have a dog. So I'm picking up a dog from Shuri.
Oh, gosh.
Oh man.
So we're gonna do we'll do EVPs of spirit. Bring your tools so we can
I'm
drive back.
driving. How am I going?
Her and I will do
Oh,
it. We're driving all day.
Is
Is there anybody
Stand up a
here?
minute.
Don't be showing your ass. We're still live.
This is
God,
my
he's-
stomach,
he's-
not my.
Carl's been watching the show.
okay. What'd he say?
He said, "I've been watching the show. Got to hear most of the show."
Okay, so we gotta shut it down. We got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This is Abnormal Alabama. This is Abnormal Kevin.
That's abnormal over there.
And I'm abnormal.
And don't forget to go over, Carl, if you're still listening, go to YouTube, My Haunted Dolls, Kevin Kane, hit the subscribe button, make this guy happy. Maybe if he gets enough subscribers, he'll quit molesting his dolls.
See, it's them comments right there. I don't molest these dolls.
But
They're
see,
like
when I
children.
get you gotta understand, when I start this controversy about you, everybody will start watching your videos. I want
Then I'll
to
get
see,
those-
I want to see this guy molest his
Then
dolls.
I get those comments again. People I had to ban that kept calling me a pedophile.
No, that's not.
And-
Dolls are not pedophile. It's like dollophile.
Doll.
You can't molest a doll. Wake up, people. Jesus. These are plastic. There's nothing to this.
That's glass.
Okay, this was
She's-
glass.
She's like, who is this old guy? What is he doing?
I hate to tell you, that's the ugliest doll you've had read. That thing is,
I
oh,
think
God.
she's beautiful.
Oh,
You are not.
man.
Do not listen to him. He is a mean old. That just tears it right there. I'm out of here.
Is
with
she
my-
crying?
That's how mean he is.
He's mean.
Don't
It's a
listen
doll.
to
It's
him.
an inanimate
There's
object.
a spirit with this doll that doesn't appear. Oh, you just call the doll that, right? Not the spirit.
The doll.
The doll is
I don't know
gorgeous.
anything about a spirit.
The doll is gorgeous. Look, folks, Is this not a
Ooh,
adorable?
look at that. Did
Look at
you
that
see
little
everybody
smile.
watching just jump back 3 feet when they saw that face?
I think she's gorgeous.
I
Look at
think
the
that
picture
was
of her.
Chucky's Bride. That's what I'm looking at there. Chucky's Bride.
Look, it's time to go.
You know
now.
what? Can I put an axe in her hand?
No. She's not that kind of
All
dog.
right. Thank everybody for watching. I think that Kevin wants to get away from me now.
Yeah, I'm gonna beat him up if I don't. I'm what do they call it? What's the kind of father that'll beat up somebody from overprotective father?
Oh,
From,
okay, okay.
That's
Quit fondling that dog.
not fondling. That's
That's
put
protected.
this. That's all I did.
I'm glad that was off camera, folks. You don't want to see that. Trust me. That, you know what? That should be a new chapter in this book, right after that guy
We're gonna have
kissing
a
it.
chapter on how I killed Kelsey
Right after
at
this
the
one.
Burger King.
Right after this one where the guy's kissing his car and humping it under the
Hey.
motor there.
Killing Kelsey at the King.
Interesting book, folks.
Killing Kelsey at the King.
All right, we have fun because why not? But look for a video coming out after this weekend. And
Several videos because we're gonna have
well, we got a
fun on the
whole day
way.
and we're gonna, but already be prepared. I get a break. I don't
If
have.
he doesn't scare Sharisa bad, she kicks him out.
She don't. She ain't gonna give me time to do anything.
It's gonna be funny to hear somebody talk more than
The
Kelsey.
Cherie Show, starring Cherie.
Abnormal Alabama, myhaunteddogs.com, datingthedead.com. The book is out right there. And he's got a few books out himself.
11.
So there you go. I've only,
Well, we got
I ain't got nothing. We're into overtime here, folks. Have a good evening.
Bye, guys.
May the blessings of all the dolls in his house come down and rain blessings and praises upon your little heads tonight. And may the rain gods please revert to another state. Good night.
Good night.
I was gonna say, we probably need to shut down about